The following content has been generated with artificial intelligence under minimal human supervision. The data presented may contain errors or inaccuracies. The opinions expressed in this content do not necessarily reflect the vision, position, or values of DigiAll. We recommend verifying critical information with additional sources before making decisions based on this content.
Welcome to DigiAll Tech News. Today is Thursday, May 21st, 2026. I'm Kylie Brooks, and this is where technology becomes clear and engaging. Nvidia says it has largely conceded China's advanced AI chip market to Huawei as US export controls reshape the competitive map. President Trump is expected to move toward voluntary AI oversight as security fears split his political allies and tech supporters. Meta is cutting 8,000 jobs while moving thousands more into AI-focused roles, with Mark Zuckerberg warning that success is not guaranteed. Samsung's largest union has paused a planned strike while workers vote on how the AI memory boom should be shared. Low-cost Chinese AI models are challenging the pricing story behind possible OpenAI and Anthropic public offerings. Let's start with the chip story, because this is the trade-off in US export policy made very plain. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang told CNBC that Nvidia has largely conceded China's advanced AI chip market to Huawei. His point was not that demand in China disappeared. In fact, he said demand is quite large, and that Huawei is very, very strong, helped by a local chip ecosystem that has gained ground as Nvidia has pulled back under US restrictions. That matters because export controls are designed around national security, but they can also speed up the very self-sufficiency they are meant to contain. The key question now is whether Nvidia's concession is a tactical pause or a more durable reset. Either way, Huawei is not just filling a gap, it is becoming the domestic alternative customers are being pushed to take seriously. In Washington, AI oversight is turning into a surprisingly complicated political fight. President Donald Trump is expected to sign an executive order on AI and cybersecurity as soon as Thursday, with a voluntary framework that would ask developers to share covered models with the US government 90 days before public release. It would also give critical infrastructure providers, including banks, access before the public. Here's what's interesting. The pressure is not only coming from Democrats or traditional regulators. Trump-aligned figures, including Steve Bannon and Amy Crimmer, have pushed for mandatory security testing of the most capable models, especially after systems such as Anthropic's Mythos and OpenAI's GPT 5.5 cyber raised concerns about more complex attacks. Tech allies including Mark Andreessen and David Sachs have resisted mandatory rules, and Trump's AI policy has largely leaned toward industry. A voluntary order tries to split the difference, but the real test is whether companies treat early government access as meaningful security work or just another box to check before launch. Meta's restructuring shows how AI is becoming both a growth strategy and an internal stress test. Mark Zuckerberg told employees in a Wednesday memo that Meta is laying off 8,000 workers, roughly 10% of its workforce, because success is not a given in the AI era. At the same time, about 7,000 employees are being reassigned into new AI-focused roles, while infrastructure, foundation model, and AI monetization teams are protected. The company had already announced the planned cuts in April and eliminated 6,000 open roles to fund AI investments. In practical terms, Meta is not simply getting smaller, it is trying to rewire itself around the parts of the business it believes will define the next generation. The hard part is trust. Employee ratings on Blind have dropped sharply since mid-2024, and Zuckerberg also promised no other company-wide layoffs this year. That promise may help, but when a company says it needs less bureaucracy and more ownership, workers will naturally ask whether AI is creating opportunity, absorbing pressure, or doing both at once. Now to Samsung, where the AI boom is showing up as a labor question, not just a chip demand story. The company's largest union, representing nearly 48,000 workers, suspended a planned Thursday strike after a last-minute tentative pay agreement. Members are set to vote between May 22nd and May 27th. The dispute is about bonuses from surging AI memory demand. Samsung proposed 607% of annual salary for 27,000 memory chip workers, but only 50 to 100% for workers in other units, including some making less advanced chips for clients such as Tesla and Nvidia. The union argues the 23,000 non-AI division workers should not be left behind, and has pushed to remove the 50% cap and put 15% of operating profit into a shared pool. The stakes are big because Samsung's first quarter operating profit jumped roughly 750% year over year. Its market value moved above $1 trillion, and the company accounts for about a fifth of South Korea's economic output. Pausing the strike calms an immediate supply chain risk, but it also surfaces a much bigger question. When AI hardware creates a windfall, who inside the company gets to participate in it? Finally, the AI pricing story is getting sharper just as OpenAI and Anthropic are being discussed as potential public market giants. Chinese labs including DeepSeek, Kimi, and Zhipu are delivering frontier-level performance on coding, agentic, and knowledge benchmarks at much lower cost. Benchmarked workloads put Anthropic's Claude at $4,811, OpenAI's ChatGPT at $3,357, DeepSeek at $1,071, Kimi at $948, and Zhipu's GLM at $544. Adoption is moving too. Open router usage for Chinese models rose from roughly 1% in 2024 to more than 60% in May 2026. Companies such as Databricks are also routing most work through cheaper advisor models, escalating only when a frontier model is needed. That matters because OpenAI's confidential IPO filing is expected as soon as this week, and both OpenAI and Anthropic are pitching valuations north of $800 billion on the idea that enterprise demand and pricing power can hold. The tension is simple. If many customers can get good enough answers for far less money, the moat shifts from having the most powerful model to proving when that premium power is actually worth paying for. Today's thread is that AI is no longer one story. It is export policy in chips, security policy in Washington, workforce strategy at Meta, labor bargaining at Samsung, and pricing pressure in the model market. The companies that win will have to solve more than performance. They will have to prove trust, cost, resilience, and fairness at the same time. Thank you for staying informed with Digital Tech News. We'll be back with more updates as they develop.